Here we get some breaking news I want to get to.
Thanks,
we did,
Trish.
of course, mention that Donald Trump is going to be speaking on national security. We've heard him talk a lot about the Chinese as of late. Well, Fox has learned that the Chinese are putting together a sophisticated Facebook-like network filled with data that they are gathering on government officials, corporate executives, and everyday Americans like you and me. The Chinese are storing this information. They are waiting for an opportunity to blackmail, target, or recruit individuals. I want to go to Catherine Herridge, who is in D.C. and has this exclusive story for us. Catherine, it sounds to me like we're taking cyber warfare to a whole new level with this.
Well, that's correct. We are, in fact. Fox News has confirmed that the same Chinese entity that was behind OPM was also behind the theft of records from at least 2 other healthcare providers earlier this year, including Anthem and CareFirst. When you combine the security clearance applications from OPM, known as the SF-86, with the personal information in a healthcare file, you have nearly a complete profile of government employees who work in national security. A leading IT company analyzing the fallout says the data is being stored by Chinese operatives for targeting, blackmailing, and recruitment purposes. And what the company calls a Facebook of everything, the company warns the OPM breach is likely the tip of the iceberg as more cyber attacks come to us by China and Russia.
The Chinese really are aggregating all this personal information, not just on the 21 million people affected in the OPM breach, but really almost every American that has signed up for health insurance. And they're creating sort of the Facebook of everything, where all this personal data, financial data is now available for them.
And the president plans to take up this issue with the Chinese during the state visit later this month, Trish.
Catherine, thank you so much. I want to bring Mark and Sean back into this conversation, as well as our own Jolene Kent, as we just got this breaking information from Catherine Herridge. We are going to hear from Donald Trump, gentlemen, tonight on national security. Mark, when you hear about reports like this, and we realize that we are all increasingly vulnerable online to enemies that want our information, how much of this is going to resonate on the campaign trail?
This will tremendously, because, look, this is a new war front, and unfortunately the Obama administration is woefully inadequate in addressing it. We've had Home Depot and many other Targets, other retailers who have been hacked. Then OPM, we're seeing this increase and dramatically and get worse and worse. But you know what I'm concerned about is what we don't know. Which hacks are being perpetrated right now, and what on earth is this administration doing about it? I think it's going to become a very big issue in this campaign.
Jolene, I mean, that's a big problem. This administration has allowed this to go on. You think about the last 8 years and the surge in cyber attacks that has happened, really within the last 2 years, Jolene, and you start to say to yourself, what more can be done, should be done, and why aren't they doing it?
Well, let's be careful here, too. The government isn't responsible for defending private companies. Private companies who have been hacked are responsible for their own cybersecurity. So it's very much a joint effort, right, to be able to have the support of the U.S. government, the capabilities and the innovation there.
Right, but doesn't that come from the top? I mean, isn't there a message, Sean, that Washington should be sending that, you know what, you don't mess with us. You don't mess with our corporations. You don't hack into our materials. And if you do, you're going to pay the price. I mean, it seems as though nobody's really told them you can't.
Well, I think it's time for government to do something, right? I think it's overdue, but this is a living, breathing thing. Just 2 years ago, it started to cause a problem. But I think if the government did decide to start putting sanctions on companies that go into this activity, that it would probably curb anybody who has an appetite to do it.
But it's not companies that go into these activities. Let's be very clear here. It's some state actor, some non-state. It's a very transnational issue here. So it goes beyond just blaming an entity, if you will. It's incredibly complicated. And if you look at what the Obama administration has done so far, they actually have called out the Chinese. They put their photos out. They've called for them to be prosecuted. So that's actually never happened before. So there are measures that have been taken if you look at the fuller picture.
You wonder how much good it's doing, because, you know, Mark, they're taking our technology. That's a reality. If you're an American corporation overseas right now, working in China, you are vulnerable to all kinds of things. And they're out there now hacking our own data, using it potentially for blackmail, as Catherine was just reporting. So the administration may be saying, hey, don't do that. But for whatever reason, Mark, it's not resonating.
I agree with Joe Ling that the private sector is responsible for its own data, but the administration has not properly raised the alert level on these data breaches such that they can work collaboratively with the private sector. They have not dealt with security clearances for people in high executive levels of corporations to deal with this and work collaboratively. They are getting the Chinese are eating our lunch as it relates to these data breaches, and the United States is not putting a counter-offensive approach in place that's had any effect so far. I'm very concerned about what's next. What is the next breach we're going to hear about? And this administration has not taken it head on or worked with the private sector well enough.
Look, I guess I'm more familiar with the U.S.-China relationship, and if you look at what has happened over just the last 7 days, if you've read the newspaper, you will see there have been 4 days of meetings of cybersecurity officials in the White House and on the Chinese side. Coming up, you have President Xi Jinping the visit by the president.
And those are meetings, Joe Ling. Look, this administration is not feared. It's not feared by the Chinese because Obama gives away unilateral giveaways to Cuba, to Iran, and China does not fear us. We need a new president for them to fear.
Hey, look, there needs to be a little fear in every equation. Otherwise, people can overstep
It's really about the technology.
We're going to take a quick break. Thank you so much, Joe Ling, Mark, and John. Coming up.